This is video 15 in the Gerhardt Konig trial series. Forgive me, I've got wet hair. We got so much good stuff to talk about this morning. I just made a video. If you haven't seen it, just go to my profile and go back one. The son testified. That was the big news from yesterday. But let's don't discount what Detective Enuma finally got to say in front of the jury. And now I understand why defense spent so much time doing everything they could to have this evidence thrown out. And while I don't think there was a smoking gun, like there's not this one email that's like, I'm gonna kill you. Like there's not that. There isn't any one thing. But what it shows is this pattern of behavior that, to me, if I'm on the jury, I'm like, what is this guy's deal? It doesn't paint him in a very stable light. And like I've said previously, Detective Enuma isn't a very magnetic personality. So he's kind of soft-spoken, a little bit of a heads-down keyboard warrior, so you really got to kind of pull stuff out of him. And I thought the prosecution did a really nice job of saying, and then what'd you do? And then what'd you do? And then what'd you find? And can you read this? And can you do this? So he just directed him, right? It went a lot slower than my patience level can deal with, but we got some good stuff. So we take this journey through Gerhardt's computer activity. And what I would say is this. If for those of you who are just joining, or for those of you who haven't had a chance to watch all the videos, one of the main things is that Gerhardt Konig believes his wife had an emotional affair. She was texting and calling a coworker, a male coworker. She's a remote worker, so it's not like they're facing each other in the office every day. She's at home, he's hundreds of miles away, and they're texting and talking, and their conversations go offline after hours. So they're talking to each other on a Sunday afternoon, and they're talking about football and coffee and car washes and kids going to the park. Like to me, I've said this in numerous videos. I guess maybe I'm just not a jealous person, but this wouldn't have done anything to me. I probably would have joked around about it and said, say hi to your work husband. Like, to me, if I'm the husband, I probably would have found nothing wrong with this. But Gerhardt Konig did. And I think that what we learned yesterday, this is a lot more about him than it is Ariel or even their marriage. I think this person has the type of, and I would not ever make light of any type of mental situation, but I think he's got something that forces him to be far more obsessed about something than he should be, right? Like he couldn't let it go. And even though Ariel was like, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have been talking to this guy. I apologize. I'll stop talking to him outside of work. You can search my phone. We'll go to therapy. Ariel was doing every single thing she could possibly do to make it better. And in her mind, it was getting better. On the surface, he led her to believe that it was getting better. But behind the scenes, this is a frantic man. And I don't know if he's frightened of losing his wife, if he's worried that she doesn't love him, he's over suspicious, or like I've said in previous videos, I think he's a narcissistic fucking bully. And the idea, the audacity that his wife would have a conversation with any other man, I think his obsession comes from an angry place, and he doesn't want to let it drop because he needs to be right. And at several points, it looks like he believes she's still cheating, and he needs to prove it to himself. So that's why, no kidding, he buys a spy camera. He's going through all kinds of files in the computer. He's doing all kinds of things to try to essentially catch her doing something wrong because he can't get over this friendship. Detective Enuma walks us through all this. So the defendant is quite active on Reddit. There are subreddits. He's in there asking for advice. You know, my wife is cheating. What do I do? Is your wife cheating? How do you know if you've got a cheating spouse? I think my wife is still cheating. Like, it's just constant conversations on Reddit and subreddit with strangers asking advice about cheating and infidelity. They go through his Audible app and they see that he's ordered a couple of self-help books. They're like, you know, Finding Your Way Back from the Affair. And they're these kind of audiobooks, which Ariel testified to that he made her listen to, right? There's also a receipt that he bought a spyware camera from Walmart. So there's a receipt. So they feel like he's trying to catch his wife doing something when he's not home. There's also significant research about hiking. Now, this isn't unusual if you're a hiker, right? But there's a lot of again, on different websites where they're talking about different trails. And this particular trail that they went on, there were probably more warnings. There were people that said, this is a fantastic hike. Sunrise, sunset, it's the most gorgeous hike you'll ever go on, but it's dangerous. You got to use the ropes. It's very steep. There are great sights and great views, but you got to go slow. The drop is unforgiving. It's slippery. You need to be careful to stay safe. It feels like you got to take a lot of risk to see this beautiful view. The prosecutor walks us through all of the files and Dropbox that he was using on the computer. He had logs, like he had chats. He had PDFs of chats that he had taken from Ariel's work phone, chats that he had taken from her personal phone, chats between her and Jeff Miller. Looked like had some of Ariel's files, so I don't know if they shared a laptop, but he found some documents that were Ariel's documents that looked like they were labeled. She was the creator of them, but they were copied into Gerhardt's folders. So he's going through her stuff on the computer. Now, I didn't understand this. I think maybe it's just the icky, creepy factor, but he's also revisiting a lot of folders from their wedding planning. So it's their wedding. He visited their website that helped where they had their wedding. He's going back through these documents. I guess they seem like very organized people. So they had like wedding checklists and guest lists and those kinds of things. So he's reopening documents from 2018 that refer to their wedding. I don't know if he's reminiscing and he's going like taking a trip down memory lane, or if he's looking for something like, how many of her work colleagues were at our wedding? Like, I don't know. This makes no sense to me. I don't understand why he's reopening all the wedding documents, but that feels strange to me. We get a glimpse into just different things. Their investment accounts, life insurance documents, the marriage counselor intake session. We go through taxes, right? They talk about different taxes, child support. There's just all kinds of different things. They do find a zip folder. There's actually 3 of them. And it says, it's titled WhatsApp Jeff Miller. And so it's 3 different documents. And it looks like it is the WhatsApp communications between Jeff Miller and Ariel. I'm going to make a separate video about Darvo, which is an important topic. And then also that email to Jeff Miller's wife. I got some real strong fucking opinions about that. So I'm going to make a second video. But just before we depart, the cross-examination of the detective by the defense attorney was kind of comical. So he says, so you found 7,941 files with the search warrant. Yes, I did. And he's like, and this is the best you could do. Like, he kind of downplays all of this evidence. And I'm laughing because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Because for 3 days you were crying like a baby trying to keep this shit out. And now you're like, this is the best you could do when you get in front of the jury. He kind of redirects the hiking searches to be like, Gerhardt hikes all the time, right? Yes. And he hikes on Maui as well, right? Yes. This wasn't the first time he went hiking. No. He chalks up the Reddit conversations to be like, he's just looking for peer support, right? He's going through problems in his marriage and he's looking for other people who have this similar problem and he's seeking advice. Couldn't that be what that is? Yes, that could be what it is. I was left with the feeling that the defense really honestly believed they'd have all of this tossed out and they'd never have to cross-examine it because he didn't feel prepared to me. He didn't really have any zingers. He couldn't go into any of the detail. I think he just kind of pounded the desk a little. No big deal.